Welcome back, everyone. This is Travis here of Fisher Hacks. Appreciate you stopping in. Today I'm going to be showing you a picture slideshow, and it's going to be part one of probably 5 or 6 of the whole setup and the process I went through to get the fish room ready to go for not only my business but for the new 300-gallon build going on in October. So let's go and get into it. So in this video, we're going to focus specifically on the stands that I built for the quarantine setup, the mixing station, and the frag tanks. I also added in a workbench, and you guys will see that briefly here in the slideshow. Now, it is just pictures in this video. I didn't get any actual video because this was over a couple-week period, and it's just a lot of work that needed to be done. It was so much easier to just take a ton of pictures and then do a slideshow later with a little bit of voiceover, as we're doing right now. Now, the first stand that I built when I set this whole room up was the mixing station. The reason why I had that is I got the barrels a couple weeks earlier, and I just really wanted to get it done and over with. And I went ahead and built a mixing station which I could stack 2 55-gallon barrels. Now, you might be asking, why do I want to stack them? Why couldn't I just buy like a 100-gallon barrel and just have it there? Well, the price of these barrels is about $20 a piece. I was getting them quite a bit more, like around $50 or $60 previously, but I found a new place here in Pennsylvania, and they were used for just water previously. And yeah, $20. I got to drive about an hour away, but $20 for a barrel, that's fine. So I figured I'd go ahead and stack them. That way I can use my RODI in both of those, and then have a third one which I use for my mixing salt water, and then kind of heating it up and then get it ready to pump to whatever system needs that water change. So the mixing station is made from 2x4s. It's 26 by 26 inches wide, and it is 46 inches tall, roughly around that. And I had to obviously make it tall enough so I could keep the barrels elevated, not only off the floor, but to also keep enough distance between them so I can get in there and do any work on the flow valves if I ever needed to. And it actually worked out really well. I did make the stand a little bit wider than the barrels just to give it more stability, just in case there's anything rocking around. But after test filling them and kind of shaking it, there was 0 issues with stability, and I'm pretty happy with the overall quality of the build. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is the quarantine setup. As you guys know, I'm pretty big on quarantining all my fish, and I do plan on getting fish in, quarantining them, and selling them to people here locally, just to bypass all the crap that you deal with at the local fish store. And I mean, they might be a little bit more than retail, but you are getting a fish that has been quarantined for 4 to 6 weeks, so you can't really ask for much more than that. Now, basically, for this setup, I have 6 20-gallon longs. Why did I go with 20-gallon longs? Well, I originally wanted the 15 gallons, but they just didn't have any for one, and then the ones that they did have were really, really expensive. So, yeah, it wasn't worth it. The $1 per gallon sale was going on, so I figured why not just get 6 20-gallon longs. And it actually worked out well because the space that I had, I was able to put 2 side by side and then stack 3 rows of that. So I ended up getting 6 of those tanks. And honestly, it really, really worked out well. The stand, again, is made out of 2x4s. It's just as wide as a 20-gallon. It's just as long to fit 2 of them side by side. And I actually was able to drill in the feet of this stand into an existing beam in the house, so it just added more stability. And I'm really, really happy with the setup. Now, you guys will see an additional video where I'll show you the tanks individually painting, the filtration, the PVC, all that stuff that goes in there, the covers, the lighting, as well as introducing fish and all that kind of stuff. So there will be more in-depth videos on the quarantine system in here in the future, but this was great, and I was really happy on how it turned out. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is the frag tanks. Now, if you guys remember my previous setup, I had both lowboys on one stand, and this time I didn't want to do that because of my lighting situation. As you guys know, I'm doing T5s over one and LEDs over the other, and I wanted to be able to separate the light for one so there wasn't any kind of splash over to the other tank, just so I can get a good judge on how the lights perform. As well as I wanted to be able to put the 60-gallon cube in between as a refugium, basically have one tank drain into the refugium and then continue to drain into the sump. Basically the same plumbing as before, but just kind of spread out a little bit more. Now, with that being said, I went ahead and built 2 separate stands, 48 inches, and I actually went a little bit bigger. I went 48.5 by 24.5, just to give a little bit of a lip and add some more stability width-wise. And I went ahead and made them 36 inches tall, just like the 300-gallon will be. I did originally want to bring them up to like 44 or something like that, so they're a little bit higher. But I figured if they were up higher and then the 300-gallon is just next to the system and it's lower, it's just going to look weird, so I just kept everything at 36 inches. Now, when it came to the design of these frag tank stands, I decided to do an open design so I can not only slide the sump in there without ever having a center beam, then also be able to slide in the ATO and do all the maintenance and stuff without having to worry about having any kind of wood beams or anything in the way. So I just doubled up on my bracing on the sides, did some bracing on the back, and actually it's really, really stable. Now the floor here is pretty even, but I did use some wedges when I finally installed the system just to kind of level it out a little bit, and it worked out really well. Now when it comes to the lighting, I did the same type of wood that I used over the original frag tank, the same lighting setup technically, but what I did is I attached kind of like support beams on each side of the frag tank, and then eventually attached that lighting. As you guys can see, I mean, I have room for the 3 LEDs, and then you guys will see later the whole setup for the T5s, the 6 bulbs, the T5 high outputs that are on the other tank. Either way, guys, the overall build was great. Same process as before, and it worked out really well. Okay, there's one more thing I want to talk about before I let you go, and that is the workbench. Now, early on, I really needed something where I can kind of have elevated, where I can work on lights, cut coral, I can have some storage underneath and on a shelf. And I was originally going to buy something, but it was like $250, and yes. Obviously I'm not going to go ahead and spend that when I've already invested so much into this room and the new reef tank. So I went ahead and continued the theme. Is about $35 to build this workbench. It's 84 inches long by 24 inches wide and 40 inches tall. Now I went 40 inches tall because I have some back issues from the military, and at the old place when I was leaning over to cut coral, it was just very painful. I could only do it for about 10 or 15 minutes at a time. I had to take a break, come back. And yeah, so this is much better. I can stand up straight, and I went ahead and hung a light, and yeah, it's great. I really like it. It's really cheap. I have storage on the floor, the first shelf, and yeah, I really enjoy having a place where I can get everything done now. Well, guys, that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, I do apologize again that it was just picture slideshow. If you guys were in my shoes, you would definitely understand why it was just that. It's very difficult with everything going on. But I want to share my life and kind of how the fish room's going and the business and everything with you guys. So I figured pictures are definitely better than nothing. So again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the comment section below. And don't worry, there are going to be a ton more videos coming out for each one of those projects, and I will definitely keep you guys in the loop. All right. Either way, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Peace.